Alrighty. Good morning. Good morning, my friends. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. December 1st, baby. Morning. Another $1,000 day. Nice, Greg. Morning, guys. Welcome back. I'm a little tired today. I had a little soccer game last night, and I am sort of worn out, man. So probably going to be a little bit of a light day for me on the trading. Keep it light. It's Friday, right? No reason to send it on a Friday. No reason to give back the good week. I actually was watching the Cybertruck event, and it looks pretty badass in my eyes. Pretty cool looking. Some Illy espresso. That's the drink of choice. Old man, I know. I feel old. Art Basel, or Basil, or whatever you guys like to call it. Art Basel. I'm actually going to New York next weekend, so I don't know if I will be here for... I might be able to catch some of it, but no, I probably won't be here. But that's all right. Art Basel is... It's not really my scene. It is and it's not, you know. I'll do something like that once in a while, but it's not like I'm like a every year, let's go, baby type of guy. All right, guys. Well, let's get started. Let's try to get out of here early today. So let's just start. I want to get out of here early. I'm a little bit tired today. I'm not gonna lie. The soccer game was at 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock start time, and we got home at like 11:30. And man, that was oof. That's late for me. So here we go, guys. I was alright with it because it's Friday, and you know I wanted to play. I wanted to have a nice time. It was a good time. It was nice to get out there. All right, so economic earnings calendar. Let's pull up that economic calendar here, so you guys can see today. You guys can see today. Today is Friday, and not much here. We have the PMI numbers right at 10 o'clock, so something to be watching, right? PMI numbers at 10 o'clock. We'll see if there's any momentum off of that. I definitely would watch that at 10 o'clock. If you are in any positions, just be aware, right? If you're in some kind of trade and it's 10 o'clock, you know, you want to know, hey, you know, I might want to be a little bit careful here of some kind of potential move. So 10 o'clock PMI, 11 o'clock Powell. All right, so 11 o'clock Powell will be opening his mouth. And you guys know when Powell opens his mouth, there is sometimes some type of reaction on the market. All right, I can't tell you exactly what's going to happen, but he will be speaking, at 11 o'clock, and it looks like he'll be speaking again at 2. So, something to be aware of, right? Something to pay attention to. 10 o'clock PMI, 11 o'clock, Powell starts opening his mouth. Be careful of some momentum, from some volatility. Be aware of that. And, yeah. So, that's that. Let's go ahead and pull up the schedule. Some big breakdowns yesterday, guys. Some big breakdowns, right? Some really, really clean price action on the NASDAQ futures. And I hope that you I hope you see it, right? I hope it's starting to click, because yesterday was one of the cleanest price action days on the NASDAQ futures that I've seen in some time. There was just a very nice respect of key levels pretty much the entire day. So I'm going to walk you through it, right? I'll walk you through exactly what happened, the levels that were respected. It was every level that we had on this chart coming into yesterday's trading day. So we'll go over that, of course. Tesla, big 238 supply today. NVIDIA, big 475 break. Something definitely to be watching today. Some potential downside over there on NVIDIA if we continue to move lower. There is a low volume area that I would be watching. AMD, very clean yesterday off the 123.50. That was the trade that we took. Or we didn't take that trade, actually. You saw that in my video yesterday. That was a trade I wanted to take and I missed. But that was a very clean trade. Today, 121.50 is also very important, something to be watching. Apple, shit show. Going to talk about why I would not be trading Apple. Google, huge drop on Google. Awesome trade yesterday off the 137 supply. Some key levels to be watching there. Meta, and then finally Microsoft, and then we're out of here. All right, let's get right into it. If you guys could, press that like button. It's 8:06. We're starting a little bit early, but that's okay. If you guys are here early, if you support the stream early, press that like button for me. Subscribe to the channel if you are not. And here we go. So, what did we talk about yesterday on the NASDAQ futures? We talked about 16.1 supply, and boy, oh boy, did 16.1 supply reject. I mean, look at that beauty right there. That was a beauty. That was just a key supply rejection. That's some nice stuff, right? That is some really nice stuff. And so, coming into yesterday, right, you guys heard me. As long as the NASDAQ is under 16.1, right, it's a little bit weak, right? That's weak because we're back below that channel high. And bam, right? Bam, beautiful rejection yesterday, right off 16.1, and very nice continuation. Now, what was the level that set up the downside continuation intraday yesterday? It was our 16,000 level that broke and rejected. So you guys can see right here, we had that 16K level on the NASDAQ futures. That was that previous high here. That's previous high here. That's some previous, channel, a little bit of a channel support here. And if we go to the 5-minute chart and we go to yesterday's price action, right, look at this just awesome break and retest. And look at that 5-minute candle rejection at 16,000. Beautiful. Right? Beautiful. So that was the second thing that happened yesterday, right? We rejected 16.1 supply. We broke and retested 16.1 or 16,000 supply. That's their second beautiful entry, right? And then what happened after that? We moved into the 15,850 demand, and we held, right? And that's where we held. The 15,850 demand that we had marked out. It was your previous lows all in here, right? And you can see that is the exact spot that the NASDAQ held and bounced off of. So, every level, 16.1, 16,000, 15,850, all the levels we talked about, beautifully respected in the proper way, right? Broke 16,000, 16,000 supply, 15,850 demand. That's the level to be watching today. Now, what is happening this morning that you need to be paying attention to? What is the level that is rejecting in the pre-market today on the NASDAQ futures? 16,000 once again. Beautiful pre-market rejection at 16,000. So, if the NASDAQ is trading into 16,000 today, what are you looking for? You're looking to see if that rejects again. If the NASDAQ is trading down into 15,850 demand, you are careful of demand bounces, and you're not short into 15,850. All right? Very clear. Very clear 250-point range. I'm sorry, 150-point range. Can't do math this morning. 150-point range on the NASDAQ futures. 16,000, 15,850. All right? Now, if you break below 15,850, you are going to move down into the 15.8, right? This is that extreme last level low before a low volume gap here on the NASDAQ futures. If we drop 15.8 at any point in the future here, that could be a little bit slippery, right? That could be a little bit slippery. So I would be careful of that 15.8, right? That's that last level there before a low volume gap. I'd be watching that 15.850. That's the demand from yesterday and the demand back here. And I'd be watching the 16,000. Okay? Very easy, right? Very easy. I mean, I can't say it's easy, but the levels are very clear, right? And so what we see at these levels, that's the hard part, right? Reacting to the reactions at the levels. So the reaction is the part that's the part you gain experience watching, and that's what really, makes you your money at the end of the day, is understanding the reactions at the levels, right? That's the type of, when you see the market trade into these levels, that's when you need to switch your thinking cap on. So for example, yesterday, right, when we were trading back into 16,000 yesterday around 10:15, 10:20, right, that's when you really got to lock in. And you got to say, okay, what is the NASDAQ going to do here? What am I seeing at this level? And so yesterday you saw this beautiful little 5-minute rejection candle, and that's where you can say, okay, I'm seeing that rejection at my 16K level. Let me look to see if maybe there's a short here with a stop over 16, right? Beautiful entry. So today you do the same thing. You don't trade here, right? You don't take a trade here. Because what is this? This is the middle of the channel. I would be careful trading in the middle of the channel. I would simply wait for this, and maybe this, right? Or this, and that, right? Or the break and hold under yesterday's lows, right? I would wait for the reactions at the key levels, right? That's where I would be looking to trade today. If it's not there, then you have less of an edge and you're trading in the middle of this overall larger channel, right? You could sort of watch a little bit of this, right? This 950, right? You could put some sort of shorter term levels on your charts. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So you could see right here, you have this little pre-market low, this little after hours sort of overnight session low here around that 950. I don't think there's anything wrong with watching that, because you can see there are some rejections stepping up there as we speak. All you have to do, though, right, is you have to understand that that's a little bit more of a short-term level. It's not as much of a major level. So could there be some games played here? Yeah, probably. So 15,950, I think you could add that as a short-term level there. I would watch it. That could be that sort of secondary reaction candle or secondary reaction level there. So I'd watch 15,950, 16,000, and 15,850 today. All right? That's what I'd be watching. QQQ. What did QQQ do yesterday? Here we go. So we talked about the 391, 391.50 supply. Bam, reaction, dead, beautiful, just awesome, right? Supply rejection at those highs. Bam, nice reaction. Now, let's go down to the 5-minute. What was that sort of level that broke and retested yesterday on the 5-minute chart on the QQQ? Right here, right? 389, 389.30. That's the level that I have mapped out. You can see right here, look at that 5-minute reaction. That lines up with the 16,000 on NQ futures. Move down to the downside. Demand starts to hold around that 386. We come back up. Where do we reject late day? That 389 again. If we move over, where are we rejecting in the pre-market? That same 389, 389.30 level once again. So you're watching 389.30, right? That's your 16,000 on NASDAQ futures. That's very clear right there. You can see that right there. That's your level to watch for supply rejections, right? If we get a bounce into that level, you be cautious of that rejection to step in again. Now, if we zoom out, right, and let's go to the hourly chart once again. Let's look at where that demand could hold up. So the first demand that I would be watching is this 387. All right, I think this 387 could have a little bit of a demand hold. Could be something to be paying attention to. That's this low here. That's this high here. That's this little high here. And that's a little bit of a demand that I'd be focusing on, the 387. The extreme low that came in yesterday was 386. 386 and 386. So I would be a little bit cautious entering new shorts at 387 and 386, right? That's a little bit of a low that I would be sort of cautious of, maybe some short-term demand bounces into yesterday's lows, right? I'd be more comfortable shorting on a bounce and supply rejection of that 389. So watch that 387, 386. If you break yesterday's lows, you probably come down to this demand low around 484. I'm sorry, 384. So if you break yesterday's lows, right? If you break this low from yesterday, you probably come down into these demand lows on the QQQ, which is around 384. All right? Let me go down to that 15-minute again, sort of show you this a little bit more short term. So you can see right here, I think there's a little bit of bounce risk at 387. I'd be careful of that. There's definitely some bounce risk at yesterday's lows. I'd be careful of that. If you get under yesterday's lows and reject yesterday's lows, then you're moving into that 384, right? If you do get a little bounce today off that 387 or 386, then I would watch for that supply rejection back up at 389, okay? Very clear levels, right? We can see them being respected yesterday. We can see them being respected this morning. So 389 supply, 389.30, 387, and 386 demand. ES. So what level? Well, first of all, I guess let's start here. The 45.77 yesterday on the ES futures was the beautiful reaction and rejection we were talking about. Very nice downside. Now, that downside came into our 45.50 demand, right? You can see right there, 45.50 demand. If we go out, we go to the hourly chart. What was that 45.50? That was very clearly our previous low from Tuesday of this week, which held once again, right? So that's a key demand hold there, 45.50. So what does that mean? That means as you start to approach 45.50, you need to be careful of that demand stepping up again. Now, something that's happening this morning, right? What is the level that rejected here in the pre-market? This was that little pre-market low that we had on our charts yesterday, where we said, okay, we could come up into that 45.85, 45.84, and maybe potentially reject. We never quite got there yesterday, but you can see we got there this morning, right? That 45.85 level on the ES came up into it, rejected that low here, and you can see that rejection that came in. So today, what are you watching? I'd once again be watching yesterday's highs for supply rejections. I'd also be watching yesterday's lows for demand holds, right? And I would look to trade off the previous day low or the previous day high. And that's where I believe that the largest edge, the largest risk reward is for you to trade the market today, right? I'd look for that push into 45.77. I'd look for that drop into 45.50, okay? So ES, very clear channel there. I would also, of course, have this pre-market high on your charts. That's that 45.85, 45.85, 45.77, and 45.50. I'd be very careful trading in the middle of the channel, okay? SPY, same concept. This was our little pre-market low yesterday that we had marked out up at that 457. You can see we rejected that general 457 this morning. Let me go ahead and pop that on the charts. Get that red for us. Let me zoom out to that hourly chart. So you can see yesterday we had a reaction, a rejection at the supply channel highs. You can see right here that 456.50, 456. That's right here. That's right here. That's right here. And that was yesterday's rejection point. So very clear there. Where did we move down into? We moved down into our Tuesday low which was our 453.50, 453.50, 453.50, 453.50, and 453.50. So we went from supply to demand lows. That was a beautiful drop and then a beautiful pop. So you had opportunity, right? There was opportunity to both sides on the SPY yesterday. You can see right there. Supply to demand, demand back to supply. So today, I'm not really I'm sort of watching this level up here just because I really don't want to long into that level. But I still believe that this 456.50 and 456 zone could become a rejection point now that we are trading below it once again, right? So if we go into this right here and we get a little bit more time, 15 minute, you guys can see right here, we are back below this supply high. We're back below this supply high. We're back below this supply high. And we're back below yesterday's double top highs. So if we are below that level, I would be looking for that bounce and rejection of that level once again, the 456, 456.50, right? Very clear there. If we get a rejection there, right, I would look for that profit taking towards the previous day lows, right, and that previous low from Tuesday, 453.50. Now, if we break that previous day low at 453.50, right, if we do break below that low, then we're looking for that drop into the 452. All right? So 453.50 right here, that's yesterday's lows. That's Tuesday's lows, right? That's very clear. You can see right there and right there. And then you're watching the supply high at 456, 456.50. All right? That's that. Stocks, individual stocks, Tesla, right? What did Tesla do yesterday? Tesla had a very nice drop under that 243 supply high. We got under that 238 supply high. And so today, what I would be watching is 238, right? Look at this 30-minute chart. So we can see right here, we had this 238 high, this 238 high, and this 238 high here. Right around that 238, 238.30, all in that general zone, you can see the reaction that came in this pre-market. Now, here's the problem on Tesla today, right? Because you are already getting close to that demand around 231, right? You're getting close to that demand down here that's been holding up pretty damn well over the last few weeks, right? You can see right there. That demand around 231, 231.30, 232, that whole general zone down there, we're getting close to that demand again. So I would not want to get too aggressive on the short side on Tesla, right, down into that demand level. Because that is also, what else is there? You got that 20 SMA that's sort of creeping up and sort of setting up right around that 232, 231 area. So if you're going to look to short Tesla today, I think you got to look for that bounce and rejection of 238, right? That's what I would look for. I would not be shorting Tesla into this 232 area. That could be another demand hold. If you get above 238, then you get a move back into your 243, and that would be, again, where I'd look for that potential rejection point up at 243, all right? So 243 on Tesla, that's that big supply above. If you get above the 238 supply, which is rejecting this morning, and then I'd be careful of that demand down below around 231. NVIDIA, big break, right? Look at this. Big break below that 475 demand yesterday, right? And look at what happened on NVIDIA. If we go to the 5-minute chart, right, look at what happened on NVIDIA after breaking that 474, 475. We tried to hold it. We broke it and just sort of flushed from that point, right? Big flush after breaking this key demand. So what are you looking for today? Well, the perfect entry on NVIDIA, right? The perfect entry for me on the short side would be a bounce, right? A bounce back into that channel low. A bounce back into these lows here, right? And then look to see if that turns into a rejection for a break and retest rejection. So I would be watching today NVIDIA 474, 475 zone. I'd be watching these previous channel lows to turn into a rejection point. Now, let's zoom out here on NVIDIA because there is an important level to be paying attention to on a little bit of a larger time frame, right? And that is 460, 462. That's an important demand that I would be a little bit cautious getting too aggressive short into. And why do I say that? That is this level right here. You can see right here, we had some previous rejections at that 462. We also had this previous rejection here at 462. We are moving down into that level, right? And if I go down back to the 15-minute chart, we can see the general demand that's starting to step up around that 462. Let's call it 462 to 464, right? We can see it's starting to maybe put in a little bit of a low down there, and that would be something I'd be cautious of if you are looking to short NVIDIA. I would not want to be short into that 462 demand low. So again, this reiterates why I would wait for that bounce and rejection, right? That's more of a short opportunity in my eyes, is a bounce back into that channel low, right? And a rejection up there at 474. If you just sort of crack below that 462 today, right, and you get back below that, then maybe things start to get a little bit aggressive here. Because under that, right, under that 462 right here, under that 462 here, right, there could be a little bit of drama, right, under that level, right? That could take us towards that 100 SMA around 450. So for me today, right, I'm not that interested in shorting NVIDIA into that 462 area. You might even want to sort of put a line at 460, right? I think you might want to have that entire 460, 462 area mapped out, sort of like this whole zone here, this whole 2-point range. I think you'd want to have that sort of mapped out as demand. I don't think you want to short into that, right? I would look for that bounce and that rejection. That's really the trade I'm looking for on NVIDIA. So that's NVIDIA. Now this is very interesting on AMD today. And here is why. Look at this chart, right? Look at this chart and look at the supply rejection that's stepping up this morning on AMD. Right here at 121.50, the rejection that we're seeing in the pre-market, what is that level? That is this low and this is that whole previous channel low that we have been talking about for weeks now. We've been talking about that 121.50 holding as demand, right? And continuing to keep AMD sort of higher in this channel. What did AMD do yesterday? It broke that channel low. It is retesting that channel low, and it is rejecting that channel low. If AMD is under 121.50, I believe it stays weak, right? Because that is a very clean rejection of now not only that channel low here, but also the previous channel highs, right? Look at how clean that is there at AMD. So AMD is turning the previous double top highs right here, the previous highs right here, the previous lows right here. It is turning that whole area back into a rejection point today. So what I would be looking for is a bounce and rejection of 121.50, right? I think that is extremely clean there on AMD. That is very much what I would be watching. A little bit of demand down here around 118, 119. So I'd be careful of getting too aggressively short into that. I would, again, want that bounce and rejection. I would be careful of that demand that steps up around 118, 119. That is also the 20 SMA at 118. All right? If you get above 121.50 and you hold above it, then AMD is back within this channel and it could continue higher, right? It's back above that channel high. It's back above those channel lows. If AMD gets back over 121.50, then that is no longer a short, right? And that's how you set up your stop loss. All right. It's 8:30. We've gone through some really nice setups. We got 1,700 people here and 700 likes. If you guys could, take a second, press that like button, subscribe to the channel. Run a quick ad as I take a sip of my coffee. Very nice. All right. So, Apple. I don't like Apple for anything. Okay? Let me just put it out there. I don't like Apple. I would not trade Apple. Apple is very much stuck between 191 and 188. Now, you can try, right? You can try to play that supply high and demand low. But I just don't know if I like Apple, first of all, sort of in this channel, right? Especially with how the option contracts move, which is relatively slow and really not ideal, in my opinion, because of this sort of sideways action. So I'm just going to say, be careful on Apple. I think it's very much stuck up here. You can see that downside, but you can very much see that demand right here at 188 stepped up again. So 188, 191 on Apple. Be careful of that range. All right. Google. So yesterday, right, we traded the 137 rejection on Google. And if we go into that 30-minute chart, I really cannot show this any cleaner, right? Look at this 30-minute chart. Look at this previous low at 137. Look at this previous low at 137. And look at the break and the retest and the rejection that came in yesterday. That is some really sexy stuff. You can go to the 5-minute chart, right, and look at how clean that previous 137 level turned into a rejection yesterday. You guys saw me trade this live in my video yesterday, and this was a insane trade from yesterday. All right, awesome. Now, you got some big downside, right? You got some really big downside on that move. And you can even see, right? Look, you guys see this 135 channel low right there? Right? You see that 135 channel low on Google? Let's go to that 5-minute real quick. If you missed the 137 rejection, right? If you missed the 137 rejection, take a look at the 135 for a second for me. All right? Take a look at 135 for me. You see this? See this 5-minute candle? See that 5-minute candle? Right? See those two candles right there? And you see that 20 SMA rejection? 135. Let's go ahead and zoom back out. What was that 135? Now we got to zoom back in. Look at that 135. Absolutely beautiful stuff intraday yesterday, providing a second entry short. Now, the demand that we're holding is an important one, right? And it's also the 100 SMA. So we need to be a little bit cautious of this demand that stepped up yesterday at 133. That is some previous lows here. That is some previous consolidation in this general zone here. And that is, on top of all of it, now if we go to the 15, on top of all of that, that is the 100 SMA sitting right below on Google. So I would not want to be short Google into 133, 132.70 there. That is very clear. What would I really look for today on Google? What would I love to see? I would love to see the pushback into 135 and the rejection of that level. I don't know if you're going to get it, but that would be the clean rejection. What you're getting right now is 134 rejections. So I would watch 134, right? You could try that rejection at 134, but you need to understand that your risk reward is a little bit tight there because you can't really be short into this 100 SMA. So if you do short the 134, right, you got to be a quick profit taker into that 132, 133, right? That's only about $1 of movement that you're able to catch there. I don't love that. So for that reason, I would rather see Google try to slowly move back into that 135, give me some more margin, and then look to short back at that 20 SMA and that rejection point from yesterday. So for me today on Google, I'm not too interested in the shorts, especially after that huge move to the downside yesterday. I'm a little bit more interested in that bounce in the 135 and then looking to see what happens there. Okay? So that's Google. Let's go Amazon real quick. I just wanted to point out Amazon is another one that I would be careful trading, similar to Apple, because Amazon was a disaster yesterday. Really, I mean, it was really just a disaster between a 1-point range, actually 2-point range, right? You can see right here, you had these previous lows there that turned into rejections all day yesterday at 146.50. You have the demand down at 144.50, right? So you guys can see right here, this is about a 2-point range that I would be very cautious of trading Amazon between. I really don't like this 2-point range here on Amazon. You could try the supply rejections. You could try the demand holds, right? You could try those levels. But I don't love the movement that I saw yesterday. So for me, I'm a little bit more interested in waiting for a break of this channel, because under this 144.50, you might be able to get that move into that 142, right, down here. And then over the 146.50, you could possibly get that move back into 148. So overall, I'm not fond of Amazon today. I don't really think I will look to trade Amazon today. I just wanted to point this out for you guys. But I would say that this supply high at 146.50 could definitely be an area to look for a fade if you are interested in Amazon. All right, you can very much see these highs and lows at 146.50 that I would look to potentially short, right? But you have to be aware that it's a little bit of a choppy range and it's a tight range, and you have to be a quick profit taker. All right? Meta, Microsoft. We'll go over a few more. Meta, Microsoft, maybe Netflix, maybe Roku. Meta. She's a pretty one. She is a pretty one. So, Meta. Yesterday, we got that drop under that 332, which led to some very aggressive downside. Also broke under that 328, right? 328, 328, right? 332. So we got that really big flush under, right? That 332 and 328, right? And where did we move into? You guys can see right here. We moved into the 322 demand. You can see right there, 322 demand. And you can see we moved down into that level yesterday and we held on. So if I break this down to the 15-minute, right, what am I going to be looking for today? Well, if you look at these levels, you can see it's relatively clear. First, I'll be looking for a pop into 328 and a rejection of that level there. If we get above 328, then I would be looking for a pop into that 332 and a rejection there, right? You can see the previous lows that I would look for a pop and rejection into, and you can see the previous high here from yesterday that I would look for a pop and rejection into. Okay? So 328 and 332 are the two levels that I'd be having on my charts on Meta. And I would not want to be short into the previous lows, which was a previous demand that you just saw there on the hourly chart. So 332 demand, be careful of that. 328 supply and 332 supply. Okay? Very clear there. Microsoft. A little bit of a channel on Microsoft, a little bit of a tight consolidation range here as well. Something that I want to point out. Not in love with this continuation here, but something that has some very clear levels that I would point out here for you guys. So, you guys can see right here, 381, 380.7, right? You can see right there, previous high, previous low, yesterday's rejection, and you can see if we pop back into that level, I would look to see if that rejects again, right? But overall, right, look at this sort of choppy action on Microsoft. It's not great. It's not great. So I would watch 380.7, 381, and then you can see the demand lows right here that stepped in again at that 375. So 375 demand lows, you can see right here. I'd be careful of being short into that. And then the 380.7, 381 supply high. All right? Very clear. Let's jump into Netflix, because Netflix made a little bit of a move yesterday, right? Sort of broke down under an important demand level. You can see right here, Netflix finally lost the stair step higher, right? It finally lost sort of that stair stepping move higher. And what it's doing today is it's trying to hold this 469 previous high. You can see right there. So today on Netflix, if you are looking to trade Netflix, I would look to see if Netflix can bounce back into that 477, right? And see if Netflix turns this previous high, and all these previous lows. I would look to see if Netflix turns that level into a rejection up at 477. Okay, that's number one. Number two, if Netflix drops below 469, turns 469 into rejections, then I would look for that drop down into the next demand, which is at 463. All right? So pretty clear levels here on Netflix today, right? We can very clearly see the levels that are sort of respecting 469, 477, and 463. 463, 469, 477. All right? Very nice there. Let's go to Roku real quick, because I think Roku could get a little bit interesting here, right? We've been sort of waiting for that retest move, remember? Right? We've been saying, okay, let's wait for the retest, let's wait for the retest, let's wait for that retest, right? It will come. And this could potentially be where that Roku retest starts to come in. All right, so we can see here on the 15-minute, Roku. This is very clean, right? Actually, let's go down to the 5-minute. Look at what Roku did yesterday, intraday. Right? Look at how clear this is. You can see Roku, first of all, rejected that supply high, moved lower, right? It moved lower, and it dropped into that 104.70 demand. That's this demand right here. It pushed back higher and rejected the previous low and the previous low at 106, right? Look at that. Let's go down to the 2-minute to get even closer of a detailed move here. Right? Look at this little, see this? 106, break, retest, rejection. Look how clear that is. That is your previous low, right? Look how clear that little break and retest rejection of 106 was. Now, if we go to the 15-minute, we can see Roku is turning the previous low here from yesterday and the previous low here from Tuesday of this week into a pre-market high rejection point. Look how clear that is. So what I would be watching on Roku here is that 104.70 and that 102.40, right? That's that yesterday low. If Roku breaks yesterday's lows and breaks this low from Tuesday, right, then you're probably going to move down into this 101 level, right? 101 level, right down here. The 101 level is the last level that I see here. If Roku breaks under that 101, then you get aggressive downside back into the retest level of 98. So, today on Roku, 104.70, 102.40, and 101. Right? And if Roku does a little rejection here, breaks under 101 and starts to reject 101, this could be a really nice setup under 101, right? How do you keep track of this all at open? You actually go through it, man. That's what it takes, right? This is what it takes to trade, right? I could visualize every chart on my screen because I look at the same goddamn things every day of my life, every hour of my life, every minute of my life. I am watching green and red candles on my charts. And you know what, man? This is what it takes, right? This is what it takes. If you want to understand what's going on in the market at all times, if you want to be in tune with the moves that are happening on the market, and the potential money-making moves, you need to live and you need to breathe the charts, okay? It's as simple as that, right? I have a competitive advantage over everyone that is looking at their charts maybe 20 minutes out of the day, right? I have a competitive advantage over all retail traders that are putting in half-assed efforts. And that's the honest truth, right? I will perform better than you if you do not prepare like I prepare. That's it, right? That's it. And there's no rainbows and butterflies that I can provide to you. That is the honest truth. I will perform better than you at all times because I prepare better than you, right? I hope you can prepare better than me, right? And I'm not picking anyone out, right? I'm not saying that to upset someone. I'm saying that because I want to motivate you. The preparation that I put in is likely better than 95% of retail traders, right? And so that is why I can succeed and understand everything that's going on in the charts pretty much at all times. And so, hey man, that's really it, right? We're not in a game to all hold each other's hands, right? I give this to you guys because I want to see you win. There's room for all of us, right? There is room for all of us. There's room for 1,600 of us here to win in the markets, right? There's millions and millions of retail traders, right? So do I think I could still, right? Is there a reason not to have 1,600 of us sort of get prepared and, make money in the market? Absolutely. There's plenty of room for 1,600 of you and us to be prepared like better than everyone else, right? But this is what it takes, man. This is what it takes. You got to put in the goddamn work. I totally agree, Ranger. Jay Price, I hear you. Why are you prepared and not me? Thanks, Jay. I saw another donation. New York. As always, New York. Thank you, man. Thank you, sir, for your really good teaching to all of us. God bless. God bless you, New York. Yeah, man. I want their money too, right? If I'm making money, I'm taking it from someone else. So that's just the truth, right? That's the truth, guys. The trading is not easy, right? It's not easy. It's not like we can just walk into this market and make money. Look at what's happening right now in the NASDAQ futures. Look at that. Look at that. Look at this, right? Look at this. Oh, baby. That is interesting. All right, so once again, let's go over the NASDAQ levels real quick. 15,950. Look at that rejection stepping in right now, right? That's that little pre-market after hours overnight session low. Break and retest. Look at that 950. Watch that level today. If you get above that, 16,000. If you short here, right, you could look for that demand low, 15,850. Okay? All right, guys. I hope you have a fantastic, fantastic Friday. Keep it light. I'm going to be trading next week contracts, right? So I'm not going to be messing around with 0 DTE today. It's just not really what I like to do. The trades that I take require patience, and sometimes a 0 DTE contract just sort of wipes away my contract premium when I'm staying patient. So I'm not trading 0 DTE today. Keeping it light, keeping it chill. We've had a good week. Had some really nice trades this week. You guys saw those live trades on YouTube. If you're a part of the Discord, you saw it all live. Let's end the week strong. Let's prepare. Let's put in the work. If you really want this, you put in the work, right? If you really want this, you got to ask yourself, do you really want it? Do you? Right? Or do you just want to say that you trade and try to become a millionaire overnight? Right? Which one is it? Do you really want it? Right? And if you do, start working towards it. All right? I hope it's motivating. Press that like button. Subscribe to the channel. And I will see you guys next week. Yeah. Yeah. Peace.